For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Good morning and welcome back to Mammoth Daily, or as we say here in America, Gold Morning. The United States men's Olympic team captured gold just a few days after the women did so as well in Milan. We are getting back from Olympic break. Mike Fulta and Adrian Denny here with you. We are your Hockey Night in Utah radio crew. And early Sunday morning, AD, it was Jack Hughes, the overtime hero, in a 2-1 win over the Canadians to give the Americans their first men's gold medal in ice hockey since that miracle on ice 1980 against the Soviets in the semifinals, then the Finns in the finals. But 46 years to the day after that victory over the USSR, the miracle on ice game, Jack Hughes wins it against Team Canada, and the Americans win one heck of a hockey game.
Mike, going up against Canada, they'd been so close. Overtime at Four Nations, overtime in 2010. And I think we kind of expected this probably goes to overtime again. And they were able to do it and snap Canada's 15-game winning streak in best on best competition. First time since the U.S. beat Canada in round robin play in 2010 do the Canadians suffer defeat. And Mike, there was a lot of talk about Canadian goaltending. Is that going to be a weak link? And the topic has become how strong was Connor Hellebuyck. He stopped 41 of 42. I loved it. Every time Eddie Olczyk dropped in, that's a Hellebuyck save. Just rolls right off the tongue. And it was what we expected. Should we have expected the United States and Canada? It was a heck of a tournament. You saw some good teams. Canada had to come from behind against Finland, had to come from behind against Czechia. The United States had to fend off Sweden, and they took the early lead against the Canadians on Sunday morning and ended up winning the game. Mike, do you want one difference in the two teams? And it doesn't, mean anything different than what we're talking about it in the regular season. The Americans didn't trail the entire tournament. The Canadians were playing catch up in 3 straight games, had to tie games late, had to win games late. And you know me and my percentages, Mike. It's not high percentage hockey to win 3 straight games when you're trailing. And ultimately, you could look at that as another thing that pushed America over the top was not trailing, taking the first goal. And were they perfect? No, but they never let it break. They were able to maintain control, never had to come from behind. And Jack Hughes, who's been through it this year, Mike. First was the injury at the team meal, missed time. A friend of mine sent me a text Sunday morning and said we need to start calling him the Liberty Bell with his teeth situation there in his mouth. And he takes that and then wins the game. But it's a great day to be an American.
Yeah, tough season for the Devils at times, especially after their hot start. Tough season at times with injuries due to Jack Hughes. He takes that hit or that stick up high from Sam Bennett, and no question about that. Double minor, you have to call that after it looked like it cracked some of his jibs. He was missing missing part of one of his front teeth. One of the bottom teeth was chipped too. Just an all-time picture, Adrian, of Jack Hughes. And there were a bunch of all-time pictures, but Hughes with the American flag draped around him, his mouth bloody, teeth missing, but with a golden smile on his face after scoring that game winner. You mentioned the goaltending. Have to talk about the goaltending. That's kind of what stole the show. We thought it was going to be the Canadian goaltending. That was going to be the story because Binnington had struggled so much heading into the Olympics, but he cemented his spot as Canada's number one goaltender throughout the tournament. Was actually very good in that gold medal game as well. Stopped 26 of 28 and made some really big stops against the U.S. But it was Hellebuck. You mentioned the 41 saves. How about the breakaway saves, AD, on Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini, two of the top players for Team Canada. And then a save that I think might have an argument for best save of all time when you consider the degree of difficulty and the moment at which it came late in the third period against Devon Toews of Canada in a tie 1-1 game in a gold medal game. And Hellebuck reaches back with a paddle and just gets a piece of it. And our friend Eddie Olczyk was all over it. He saw that that was a save live. It was kind of hard to tell, but you go back and watch the replay and oh my goodness, the freeze frames are unbelievable. Is that crazy to say, Adrian? Like I off the top, I'm sure there's some game 7 saves that have to be up there. But when you talk about winning a gold medal, third period tied 1-1, and you save what could have been a sure goal, that has to be at least in the conversation for one of the best saves of all time.
When you make 40-plus saves in a game, and our own Dom Moore had a great tweet about Connor Hellebuck. He said he just played the game of his life in the game of his life. And
Wow.
Hellebuck this year, Mike, he's been hurt. It's been a tough year for Winnipeg, as you said, tough year for New Jersey. But that's the Connor Hellebuck that we see on the lineup card, and you're like, oh, this is a game that hopefully we can win 1-0 or 2-1. Mammoth had success against him. Utah's had success against him, but that's the guy that's been named best goalie in the NHL several times already.
Yeah, back-to-back seasons as the Vezina Trophy winner, Hart Trophy winner last year as well. And he was in full Jimmy Craig form going back to the that 1980 team. One matchup I want to touch on too, AD, is the Canadian forwards against the U.S. defense, because that was kind of where we saw the most friction. I thought U.S. having an advantage with their defensemen over the Canadian defense core. And then Canada with a stronger group up front than what, or at least a more dynamic group up front than what the U.S. could roll out there. I felt like the Canadian forwards were all over the U.S. from that 5-on-3 in the middle of the second period when Canada couldn't score on a 1.5-minute long 5-on-3. They didn't score, but they did generate momentum off that, and they tilted the ice in a severe way. The Americans had trouble breaking the puck out through the neutral zone. Didn't see a ton of U.S. forwards make plays in the second half of the game, and they just didn't really have anybody, I felt, to transport the puck like the Canadians did with, a guy like Cale Makar or Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid, those guys who kind of specialize in transporting the puck. Now, we did see Quinn Hughes start to do it a little bit for the U.S., but I thought that's when the Americans were at their best, when the defensemen started to activate and take the puck from their own zone up through the middle of the ice. The middle of the ice that was a little bit shorter than usual, 3 feet shorter in the neutral zone because of some building snafus in Milan. But rink dimensions aside, I thought that was a very interesting matchup. The superstardom for Canada up front against an extremely stingy but special back end for the U.S.
And you look at the roster that they assembled. General Manager Bill Guerin, GM of the Minnesota Wild, has been direct and on the forefront that he's not assembling a fantasy team, not assembling an all-star team. He's assembling a team to beat Canada, to win the gold medal. And he put a fourth line on an Olympic team Mike, right? JT Miller, Vinny Trocheck, Brock Nelson. Could they have been any better, any more effective? Could there have been a more well-constructed roster than what the U.S. had? We talked about the guys that got left home. Jason Robertson, the leading American scorer. Cole Caulfield from the Montreal Canadiens. You won a goal. I'm calling him from that left wing circle. Not there. And they took some feedback on it from the experts. Mike, not us. We understood what was happening. I think we picked the U.S. to win the gold medal on our last show before the break. I know I did, but they'd come so close. And 46 years between gold medals. Is the gap that big between the U.S. and Canada? No, but 46 years. We weren't alive back in 1980. We've seen some best versus best. 98, 02, 06, 2010, 2014, the last time the NHLers were at the Olympics. That was disappointing for the U.S. Didn't even medal. Lost in the bronze medal game to Finland. So I think they were a pretty happy group, but it's fun to hear everybody talking about a Sunday morning. Did you have to set your alarm, Mike? I didn't set an alarm on Sunday. Did you?
You just wake up at 6? Just your body gets you up?
I wake up with the sun. So about that time.
I've got one of those like alarm clocks that lights up, right? It like illuminates the room. So I try to wake up with an artificial sun. Okay. Yeah, what do you mean wake up with the sun? It's still dark out. It was dark.
It was dark, but I was ready to go. The body knew that it was time.
I have a little confession. I have a confession. And this stays amongst us here. But I'd had a long travel day on Saturday. Had a weird sleep schedule kind of the last couple nights coming from the East Coast, and I did not feel good about my sleep Saturday night into Sunday. So, and I knew that was going to happen. So I recorded the game. I woke up a little bit after 6. I'm not going to say what time. I did watch the entire third period live and overtime. But I woke up a little bit after 6, and I had my recording, and I started the recording from the beginning, and I put my phone face down, and I was able to fast forward. I watched like the intro, all that stuff. You know, I wanted to feel like I was in the game, and I fast forwarded through the intermissions, and that got me basically perfectly to the start of the third period, and I got to watch the third period and overtime live. But I cannot sit here and pretend like I watched the first period live. I'm a little embarrassed. I'm a little ashamed, but I felt like that was what I needed, and I was able to fast forward through the intermissions. So you can make fun of me if you want, but with my schedule, I felt like that's what the situation called for.
I mean, nobody was at your front door, Mike, saying, "Are you up? Are you watching this live?" Nobody's docking you points. Nobody's docking. We all won the gold together. Clayton Keller bringing the gold back to Utah. Mike, how about the Mammoth captain? Part of it all. Big week for USA Hockey. Not only the men's team winning gold, the women's team won gold. Kind of the same fashion. Overtime against Canada. We got Clayton Keller. How about Hillary Knight, Mike? You've talked to Hillary. We've talked to Hillary. Salt Lake resident. 5-time Olympian. Member of the Seattle Torrent and the Professional Women's Hockey League. She's bringing it back. Taylor Heisey, you've had on the program too, Mike. Women's gold medalist.
Mm-hmm.
What a couple of days for USA Hockey.
Yeah,
a couple of golds against Canada in overtime.
It wasn't that long ago when we were talking with Taylor and Hillary about their rivalry series with Canada, basically a world tour playing U.S. versus Canada just night after night in these different cities. They did so at the Maverick Center here in West Valley City. But yeah, that was fun to chat with them, and gosh, it'd be great to get them on again because they were fired up then. I'm sure they're even more fired up now. But a couple of 2-1 overtime victories for the men and for the women. AD, I want to do more kind of, touch on some more points here in the gold medal game. Just what a win for the NHL. What a win for hockey, getting best on best. I know it was early for everybody, and the reason it was early because they were playing the game before the closing ceremonies on Sunday. NHL hockey is usually the last, or hockey is usually the last event before the closing ceremonies, and so that's why it was early. It was really unfortunate for the western part of the country for sure, but really all of North America. And probably lost quite a few viewers on that compared to if it was in prime time, but still an incredible event that I think the whole sports community can rally around together. You mentioned that fourth line, guys like JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck, who were under some criticism. I think Bill Guerin took some criticism for taking those guys on the team over the guys you mentioned, the Robertsons, the Caulfields. You also had Kyle Connor, who was not even dressed for that game. He wasn't in the lineup because guys like Miller and Trocheck were. They were on that fourth line, but playing the penalty kill as well. USA PK 3 for 3 against the Canadian power play that was almost 50% for the tournament. And they killed off a minute and a half of 5-on-3 in the second period. They also killed off a big penalty at the end of regulation as well. So those guys deserve some props on the PK. Mike Sullivan, the head coach, does as well. And Bill Guerin for just bringing those guys. But like you said, and I think you said it perfectly, you're not necessarily – it's like what Kurt Russell playing Herb Brooks in the Disney movie Miracle said. I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones. And this team built with the goal of beating Canada in mind. That was the number one priority. And I think we saw that to an extent. We saw that to an extent on Sunday morning. It certainly helps when you get 41 saves from your goaltender, but you do have to give that PK a little bit of love as well.
Oh, Mike, 5-on-3 for over a minute and a half, right? After they just tied the game, right?
Yeah.
And that late one, like you didn't have Sidney Crosby, but you still had Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, right? Danger here was the situation for Team USA, but the penalty kill was big. Let's hear from head coach Andre Tourigny, because the Utah head coach has put in a lot of time with Team Canada, familiar with the international competition, the World Championships, the Olympics. Here's what Bear had for his opening statement on Sunday. He walked into the room, sat down, grabbed a mic, and here he is.
What a game, eh? That was unbelievable. I think that was the best thing could happen to our game, to our league. I think having the two best team and the way it went and the overtime and everything. So that's a great day for hockey.
Can you imagine watching that game in the coach's office, the coach's area, with Bear, Blaine Forsythe, Mario Duhamel, and John Madden, looking it over with John being the he's American, right? John Madden, PK coach. Yeah, no, he's from Toronto, so they're all four.
Michigan guy. I think I was surprised to see Mads at practice on Sunday in Sandy, because I thought he was at the game. He must have taken a bullet train or a bullet plane from Milan to the practice facility, because there was a big maize and blue Michigan Michigan flag on one of the ends of the ice. I'm pretty sure that was former Michigan Wolverine John Madden. But yeah, all Canadian, all Canadian coaching staff. So you knew which way those guys were leaning. We asked Johnny Marino in an interview, were there any side bets between the Utah or the American Mammoth and the Canadian Mammoth? Didn't hear anything like that. You don't need any side bets between the U.S. and Canada, Adrian. You don't need any of these like mayor's bets where the mayor of one town is like, if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I'll do this, or if the Rams win the Super Bowl, I'll do this. But you don't need that against these two rivals. The bragging rights alone is worth the blood, sweat, and in Jack Hughes' case, teeth.
Yeah, didn't have to send over any maple syrup or any bratwurst or any poutine or whatever. Those the mayor bets are fun. We didn't have any, but we had a fun game, and you look at the locker room and you're thinking about the guys in there, right? When we're watching the games, the Canadian representation, the U.S. representation. Nate Schmidt was really fired up, really excited after practice on Sunday. So great stuff. It was fun. It's everything we could have hoped for, I think. Yeah,
and just finishing things up, because I know by Monday most people have kind of gone through and either watched the game or made your own opinion about it. But just a couple other notes from us here on that. The gold medal game and the tournament as well. McDavid for Team Canada, 13 points to lead all skaters in the Olympics. It's an Olympic record, apparently, those 13 points in 6 tournament games for Connor McDavid. Guys who impressed me, Adrian, you can riff off this, whatever you think. Quinn Hughes, obviously, is one of the best defensemen in the world. I think he's closer than we realized to the best defenseman in the world. Cale Makar is still there, and Cale Makar, I guess until further notice, has that number 1 tag. But boy, the way Quinn Hughes skated on the back end for the Americans for a gold medal winning team, it's hard not to have that conversation of putting him at that number 1 spot. I thought he was the Americans' best skater, and I think he, after his performance at the Olympics compared to Makar, especially when they were playing against each other, I think there's a case to be made for Hughes as that number 1 defenseman in the world. 7 assists for Quinn Hughes, most ever by an American in the Olympic tournament. Matt Boldy scored a goal in that gold medal game. He was out to start overtime as well. You could tell, AD, that Coach Mike Sullivan thought very highly of Boldy's game, and a whole tournament wasn't perfect for him, but boy, he's a guy who I think is going to enter into that superstardom realm here if he's not already there. 30 goals on the year, so he's pretty close. But Dylan Larkin can play in just about every situation. Brought like a kind of a fearlessness and an edge, not overly physical like the Kachucks, but just his courageousness and tenacity around the net. I thought was fantastic. On the back end, Brock Faber and Jake Sanderson for the Americans, fantastic. I thought Faber made so many little nothing plays that you don't even think about until it goes wrong, and it never seemed to go wrong on Brock Faber's stick. And Sanderson, these are guys we've known about, but it's just another reminder of how good Jake Sanderson is, how well he can skate, and that he's not just like another really good player. He's a true number 1 defenseman for Ottawa, and is one of the best defensemen in the league.
How about just the blood, sweat, and tears of the Kachucks and Matthew winning the back-to-back Stanley Cups, beating Germany last Sunday, and Leon Draisaitl with the line of always the bridesmaid Leon, and then goes in and takes care of Canada. But just the juice that those guys have, and just the competitive spirit. And you heard some fun stuff about Matthew Tkachuk and Quinn Hughes playing for the U.S. National Development Program in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Matt's dad, Keith, rented the house, and Quinn Hughes and Brady Tkachuk are in there as 14, 15-year-olds, and there's a special bond. Like, those guys have played with each other for years in a lot of cases. Clayton Keller has represented the United States several times, and they've crossed a lot of paths, as have the Canadians. But it was a U.S. team that found a way to do it. And as close as the games have been, right? There's the Buffalo Bills that have lost 4 straight Super Bowls at one point, but that's kind of an outlier in sports, right? When you lose a heartbreaker, you come back the next night, the next year, and competitive nature of elite athletes sometimes pushes it over the top, like it did with Florida losing and then winning 2 in a row with the U.S., the 4 nations, and the history of not winning since 1980, and just able to come in and will their way to it, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't perfect against Denmark and Latvia, and I don't think you could have played perfect against them. It's you're not really in the same league. They were competitive, but when it mattered, they found ways to win.
Just so wrapping up those storylines, and then a couple more notes about Mammoth at the Olympics as well. JJ Peterka with 4 points through 5 games for Team Germany. I thought Team Germany was probably the most disappointing team at the Olympics this year, bounced by Slovakia in the first round. They've got Stützle, Draisaitl, Peterka, Seider on defense, and an NHL goaltender in Philip Grubauer, and didn't really do much of anything in the tournament. So not Germany's best work. No points for Clayton Keller. He got in a couple games there at the end of the round robin, and then at the start of tournament play. Played about a shift. I think maybe 1 shift in that gold medal game. I don't really didn't see him do anything impactful, but was there and definitely helped the team for a few games there, kind of in the middle of the tournament. Olli Maatta wins bronze for Finland, defenseman for the Utah Mammoth. He was playing third pair minutes for Team Finland, so now 2 bronze medalists for Olli Maatta. He was part of a Finnish effort that defeated the Americans back in 2014 in Sochi to win that bronze. And then Karel Vejmelka, we'll get to this more on the power play, but no games for Karel Vejmelka for Team Czechia, which I think had all of us very surprised, Adrian, and I think even some around the rest of the NHL as well.
I don't think all the international coaches keep tabs on the NHL, Mike, because Vejmelka tied for the NHL lead in wins, but there was some other cases where guys that are having great seasons just didn't really play for their respective national teams. And for Vejmelka, he was there, he was part of the team, and you'll get to it in your Monday morning power play, how well rested he's going to be coming back, but he was skating and practicing throughout the entire break. It's not going to be something where he has to find a way to get the cobwebs off. Let's hear from head coach Andre Tourigny talking about his 4 Olympians coming back. You mentioned Keller with the gold, Peterka with the points, Maatta with the bronze, and Vejmelka there for the Czechs, who almost upset the Canadians in that quarter match.
There's 2 teams who won their last game. That's I think that's great. I think we all will love to have a gold medal or a bronze medal at the Olympics. I think that's great to have 2 of our 4 guys coming back with a medal, and 4 of them coming back with unforgettable souvenirs, memories and souvenirs. So that's good for them. Really happy. I think I said many times, how valuable are those experiences when you play an elimination game, when you've been there, you see the team, the feeling of belonging and all of it. So I'm proud of them and for them.
So we have not seen all those guys yet. Obviously, Keller is still in Milan or was still in Milan. I know there's a snowstorm on the East Coast right now, so it's a little harder for guys getting back over. But Vejmelka, Peterka already over and practicing as of this weekend. AD, we've gone long enough here on our first segment. Let's get to our Monday morning power play with the 5 top storylines for the Utah Mammoth heading in to this week.
Get ready for the Monday morning power play.
Kicking off your Monday morning power play, we've got your 5 biggest storylines for the Utah Mammoth heading into this week as we resume play, taking on the Colorado Avalanche on Wednesday at home and then the Minnesota Wild on Friday at the Delta Center. Before we get to point number 1 on our Monday morning power play, want to remind everybody about the Ultimate Fan Sweepstakes for the Utah Mammoth. You can enter before March 1st to win tickets to watch the Mammoth take on the LA Kings in LA on March 28th. So you win the prize. That includes not just the tickets, but you get flights from SLC, 2 hotel rooms for 2 nights, $200 per diem per person per day. I believe it's per day. It just says per person, but per diem means per day in Latin. So I'm going to say that's $200 per day, which is more per diem than we get, than our NHL players get, Adrian. So this is already a steal. Mammoth jerseys and swag, game tickets for you and for 3 guests as well. So it's a trip for 4 to LA to watch the Utah Mammoth take on the LA Kings on March 28th. It is the biggest Mammoth giveaway yet. So that is on utahmammoth.com. You also likely received an email from the Utah Mammoth as well, but it's the Ultimate Fan Experiences Sweepstakes. AD, that is no joke. That's a pretty serious package right there. If you would have told us when we were working in the ECHL, when our per diem was like $44, that we'd be giving fans $200 per diem, I don't even know if I would have made it to the NHL as a broadcaster. I just would have tried to cash in on these sweepstakes.
UtahMammothYouth.com. The folks can go to that webpage, scroll down, and enter to win, and cash in on your per diem, your airfare, some fun in the sun in LA, a huge late season game against the Los Angeles Kings, but that's a good place to go. Downtown LA, LA Live, Crypto.com, Arena.
It's an unbelievable venue. It's very loud, but they have an unreal game presentation set up with lights and fog and lasers and all that stuff. It is a very cool venue, and it will feature Artemi Panarin as well, who was traded from New York to LA right before we broke for the Olympics. But AD, what was your per diem when you first started in the ECHL? So that's AA hockey if you're not familiar.
Yeah, 0506, I think it was $35 a day.
So you're basically hoping that the hotel has a continental breakfast.
Sure, yes.
And then you can maybe like steal some snacks somewhere else. Maybe you bring some from home. When I started, it was $44 a day, and it was tax-free. It might have been under the table. I don't know how they did it, but they would just give you like an envelope with cash in it when you got on the bus, and you tried not to blow it all at the first gas station you guys stopped at.
My first year, Mike, the guy that was doing our travel, Chuck Weber, took out breakfast for per diem if the hotel had a free breakfast. When I took over the travel, guess what? Everybody got the full boat. We're staying at the Embassy Suites in Loveland, Colorado. Take that extra $8 and go have some fun. Breakfast is on us.
The Embassy Suites, if you were lucky enough to stay at an Embassy Suites, you were living in the ECHL because it was a big breakfast. You maybe could like stash some away, in the hotel fridge for lunch or for a snack or something like that. But that was like a nice buffet. Those are the nicest hotels we would stay in for sure. Most of the time it's, the La Quinta Inn Holiday Express or something like that. But again, just one more time, that's the Ultimate Fan Sweepstakes. Flights from Salt Lake City, 2 hotel rooms for 2 nights, $200 per diem per person, Mammoth jerseys and swag, game tickets for you and 3 guests. So definitely check that out. But AD, do you want to start here on our Monday morning power play and kind of get back to work? We've been taking a lot of time off recently. It's about time we hit that punch card again and clocked back into our 9 to 5.
You know who hasn't taken a lot of time off lately? Our friends over at the Utah Mammoth Ice Center, where we had our grand opening over the weekend. Utah Mammoth Ice Center is the official name. MammothIceCenter.com is the website. But Mike, we've got some friends over there that did not get a day off during the Olympic break because they were getting ready to open the ice center. We opened it up for practice on Saturday for the first time. Saturday and Sunday, it was great to have folks in the building. It's a great buzz. Follow Mammoth Ice Center on Instagram. They'll let you know when you can RSVP for a select open practice. So 300 extra folks there. It was a party. It was fun. The guys loved it. Just added some energy. So that's the number one question we've gotten in the last 3 months is when can we go watch practice? Well, the Mammoth Ice Center is officially open for business. Try hockey for free. Learn to play. Drop in. You can drop in and play hockey. That's what that means, Mike. Drop in. You drop in.
Yeah, it's like pickup hockey. Yeah, I've done it. I usually get laughed out of there, but drop-in hockey is great. And a lot of this programming is directly after Utah Mammoth practices too. So you can see like the youth sticks and skates that are out and ready as the Mammoth are practicing and working on an NHL power play and things like that. So really cool community asset.
Yeah, so great job by everybody that was putting in the hours. We had a high school all-star game there. The first week of the break, we had our premium season ticket members there with a lot of players signing autographs on Thursday night, and then Saturday and Sunday, and invited everybody and had some fun autograph sessions and some good stuff going on. So check it out, MammothIceCenter.com. It's our practice facility, but it's open to the public. It's open to you. Yeah. And Mike, that's one thing here in the last year and a half. We've had the NHL team. You can come watch the games, watch on TV, listen on the radio, but to be able to invite people in to the facility and have them there with us, right? That's what we wanted ultimately, and here it is.
Yeah, really cool to see people taking into practices, and then end of practice, guys kind of hit their sticks on the ice, salute the crowd at a practice. That's pretty cool stuff. So shout out to our friends over there on the security team, by the way. Our good friend Zach, who's a big daily listener. He's on the events staff, security staff over there, along with Sam and Gustavo and Phil and Trofina and all of our great event staff over there. Those guys are fantastic. They take care of us, and they make sure that everything works smoothly over there. All right, we snap it around here on the power play.
Let's go. Number 2.
Number 2. This isn't promotional. This is hockey here. Okay, we're getting back. It's game week, and one of my big storylines that we mentioned earlier is Karel Vejmelka and his workload starting from right now until the end of the season. You go back to last year, the Utah Hockey Club last year returned to play on the 22nd of February, so right around this time, coming back from 4 Nations. We started out with a back-to-back, if you recall, and it was Connor Ingram who started the first game of the back-to-back in LA. Then the next night, Karel Vejmelka started against the Vancouver Canucks, won that game, and Vejmelka went on to start 23 straight, including that game. Now, we would have come out of the break with Vejmelka instead of Ingram, but it was a back-to-back, and that Vancouver game was a more impactful game than the LA contest because we were immediately chasing Vancouver in the standings. So we basically saved Veggie for Vancouver and then it was Vejmelka the rest of the way. Connor Ingram never played another game for the Utah Hockey Club at that point. He's now with the Edmonton organization. So Vejmelka played 23 straight games, started 23 straight games for the Mammoth last year. In that stretch, or I should say in the last 25 games, we did see Matt Villalta once, but in the last 25 games, he went 13, 7, and 4. There was one non-decision in there. But 13, 7, and 4. Very good win-losses record. Save percentage, not great. It was below 900, 897, but there were a couple of awkward blowout losses that skewed those numbers. He was good. He was good down the stretch. You look at Karel Vejmelka since the start of January, since the start of 2026, 11, 4, and 0 with a 915 save percentage. He has the second most wins of any goalie in the NHL since the new year. He didn't play at all with Team Czechia in the Olympics. To our surprise, in the NHL regular season, Dan Vladar had slightly better numbers. Lukáš Dostal had slightly better numbers. But Karel Vejmelka had better analytics than Vladar. And, we saw Vladar over and over again. We never saw Vejmelka. Veggie played professionally in Czechia for 7 years. I would have thought they would have given him some seniority or a little tip of the cap for his service in his home country. Remember, he stayed in Czechia to finish his degree and to keep playing over there instead of coming over to the Nashville organization, the organization that drafted him. He stayed in his home country to play, but still we didn't see him. I think that is good for Utah because Veggie's skating with the national team. He gets the experience of Milan, but he is going to be fresh for the final 25 games of the season. How many of those games start with number 70 in between the pipes? I'm going to guess a lot of them. I'm not sure if it's going to be 24 out of 25 like last year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's in that 21-22 range.
3 back-to-backs left on the schedule for the Mammoth. So I think you could say 22 and feel pretty comfortable. And Mike, all the international experience he had too. He won a world championship. So as I said, I'm not sure that all the international coaches follow what's happening in the NHL. Mike, how about number 3? This is training camp 2.0 for the Mammoth, and the impact that it is going to have could be huge because we expect Logan Cooley and Alexander Kerfoot back Wednesday or shortly thereafter. And for them to be able to participate in regular situations in practice during the course of a training camp, that's going to be big with their lines, with the guys they're playing with the penalty killing unit, and then come back out. And Bill Armstrong said with Scotty G on 97.5 the EKSL Sports Zone last week, Mike, the first couple of games coming out of the break, it's going to be more like first couple of games of the season. It's not going to be the midseason form we were in when we went into the Olympic break. And that's going to be huge for guys like Logan Cooley and Alexander Kerfoot coming back from injuries to be able to ease their way back into that, have a week to practice and not just come back drop of a hat. That's what Sean Dursey told us last year. Coming back when everybody was in midseason form and he's in training camp, it just was hard. So that could be huge for the Mammoth and an opportunity to take advantage of training camp 2.0.
Well, how about Kerfoot at the start of this year? He gets hurt, right? Like basically first day of training camp. So when he comes back in the middle of the year, he plays 9 games, only has 1 point. It's just 1 goal in 9 games for him. Wasn't as good at the faceoff dot as we normally see him. And again, he didn't get any training camp time. It was like what you said with Sean Dursey. He just kind of gets thrown into the fire while he's still trying to get his sea legs. But now it's more of a gradual ramp up. AD, to our 4th point here on the Monday Morning Power Play. Along those lines, I'm going to shift the focus to a special teams reset. The Mammoth special teams have struggled this season, even when the team has been winning. The Mammoth special teams have let them down at times. Currently, the Utah Mammoth have the 2nd worst power play in the NHL at just over 15%. The penalty kill has fallen also a little bit as of late. Currently, Utah down in the middle of the pack, 16th best when it had been a top 10 PK for a lot of the year. Special teams reset during the Olympic break. Big part of that. You get Logan Cooley back from injury. He's still third on the team in power play goals. He has 3 power play goals. That's not saying much. But he's still third on the team in power play goals, even though he's missed 28 games. You add him into the power play mix, and you add the guy we just talked about, Alexander Kerfoot, who's only played 9 games this year. Last season, Kerfoot had the 5th most penalty killing time on ice amongst all forwards in the NHL. He was one of the most trusted penalty killers in the National Hockey League. And to get him back eventually onto the PK, you would assume, would be a huge development for the Mammoth special teams groups.
Great points, Mike, because as the power play and the penalty kill have struggled, you haven't had Kerfoot. You haven't had Cooley. Power play went through a 7 for 20 stretch during a 7-game winning streak, and you've missed Cooley for the last 28 games. So I like it. How about the schedule, Mike, as we get to number 5 here on the Monday morning power play, coming out of the schedule, coming out of the Olympic break on the schedule, you got the Colorado Avalanche. You have the Minnesota Wild. You got some elite teams coming in. The Chicago Blackhawks come in. But, Mike, as you look at the schedule, Colorado had 8 Olympians, 4 of them in the gold medal game. You had Minnesota with 8 Olympians, 3 winning gold for Team USA.
I like this.
You got Jared Bednar, the head coach of the Avs, saying after practice on Sunday, he could see the guys that played in the gold medal game not playing on Wednesday night. We started to hear rumblings about that Sunday morning at practice, and then on the record, Jared Bednar said it after practice on Sunday. And then you got Minnesota coming in on Friday after playing in Colorado on Thursday. So 2 really tough teams, but could it be an instance where the schedule favors the Mammoth? And the guys were asked, JJ Peterka, Jack McBain, coming out, starting with Colorado, starting with Minnesota. Here's what they said.
It's great. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, you want every game in this league is good, but I mean, obviously these are some really good teams coming up. So it'll be a really good test for us and see where we're at. Kind of headed down the last 25 here. So yeah, it's fun.
Oh, we know it's a tough schedule and until the end. So we're super excited for it to start. Obviously, want to gain some momentum right away and get it going.
Hold on. We got to address the mustache in the room. We got to address that unit of a lip sweater that Jack McBain is wearing right now. We've seen some mustaches during our time. You know, Nick Schmaltz been known to rock one. Nick DeSimone at times. McBain certainly at times as well. But whoa, that is a well rested mustache right there.
Some of us, Mike, look at that and are like, gosh, you make it look so effortless to come back after an Olympic break with a mustache like that. But want to keep going where you left off, Mike. Went into the Olympic break 12-5-1 since Christmas, including that tough game against Nashville and tough one against New Jersey. So really for the Mammoth, 11-3-1 in their last 15 games. But we'll see how it goes against Colorado and Minnesota. But, you know, as you watch those games, you knew that maybe Nathan McKinnon was sick. There were a couple guys banged up on Team Canada involving the Avs. So that's what we got with the schedule forthcoming.
Love it. Last year, coming out of the Four Nations break, right around this time, you had 26 games left. And the Utah Hockey Club was 6 points out of the second wild card spot. This year, you look at where the Mammoth currently are. The Mammoth with 25 games left, so similar amount of games remaining. You're in that first wild card spot. You are 1 point up on Anaheim, who's right behind you in wild card 2. You're 4 points up on the LA Kings, who are the next team. They're the first team below the cut line. So you're in a, I would say, significantly better spot than you were even just a season ago. It all feels kind of jumbled up in the middle, but really that's like an eight, or not eight. It's like a 5-game swing compared to where you were last year and where you are this year. And look at the goal differential too. Last year, coming out of Four Nations, Utah Hockey Club had a -12 goal differential. Right now, +26. So this team has made the jumps that we were promised this year, and now it's just a matter of cementing that postseason spot down the stretch.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of movement in the standings. Once you start to get into March and April, the teams usually there stay there. Last year, 14 of 16 teams that were in the playoffs, the Four Nations break, stayed there. Just the second wild cards dropped out. So if you look at that this year, you're the first wild card. You're in a good spot. But onward we go. After this 3-game homestand, Mike, hey, guess what? More road games than home games. So this is a 6-game homestand that's resuming on Wednesday night. Mike, we were out and about during the Olympic break over at the Mammoth Ice Center. Saw some folks there. I want to give some shout outs. And my homework assignment that I was assigned by one of our day-to-dayers, I've got it done and ready for the Tuesday mailbag. So I'll report on that coming up in our third period.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Here for your third period on Mammoth Daily, and Adrian apparently has his homework done, allegedly. Dog didn't eat it this time. Was it movie related, Adrian?
I did get some movie stuff. I didn't do that homework.
Come on.
The homework assignment was on how would the standings be different if the NHL did what the Olympics did in the pool play, with 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for a win in overtime or shootout, and 1 point for an overtime or shootout loss. So I'm going to tell you in our Tuesday mailbag coming up tomorrow how the standings would be different. It's very interesting.
Oh, hold on. He's claiming to have this homework done. The due date was Monday, February 23rd, and here is Adrian delivering it on the 24th. It sounds like you didn't do. Are you asking for an extension right now?
No, it's just got it ready for the mailbag. So we'll have it in the mailbag.
Okay.
Also coming up in the mailbag, I went straight to Ian Cole over the weekend with a couple questions submitted by one of our day-to-dayers. So we've got that coming up tomorrow on the mailbag. Still some room. If fans want to get in touch with us, leave a comment in the YouTube replies to today's episode. We'll pop them into the mailbag. Hit us up on Twitter at 801 Adrian Denny, Mike_Folta. You can find us there. Get us your mailbag questions. So we're back in business. Tuesday mailbag coming up tomorrow. And Mike, I was over at the Mammoth Ice Center several times during the break, and I ran into all sorts of folks. Number one question, Mike, when's Mammoth Daily coming back? Talked to Jeff, Paul, Chris, Joey, Dallin, Kristen, Jim, Angie, and Rowan, and they all wanted to know, when is Mammoth Daily coming back?
Well, we said we might jump on throughout break, and we didn't because honestly, AD, like there wasn't a ton to get to. The pool play was pretty, I don't want to say pedestrian, but it wasn't. There were no unexpected storylines or anything. And of course, with the NHL, there's a roster freeze, so there's no trades or anything like that happening. Nothing going on with the Mammoth. The Mammoth players weren't, like, besides Peterka, he was a front runner for Germany, but a lot of the Mammoth players were further down on the lineup sheets for their respective countries. So not a whole lot to get to. I was enjoying Mexico, and you were enjoying the slopes. Adrian, I got sent this by Matt McConnell and Nick Olczyk actually within minutes earlier today, where I was in Mexico is sadly all of a sudden very tumultuous right now. There's a lot of violence, and it looks like I got out of there just in time, because if I was there while this was all going on, I think they sent out a stay where you are and get cover order in that part
shelter
of
in
Mexico.
place. Yeah.
Shelter in place, yes, which from Indiana, that means get away from the windows, cover your head, the tornado's coming. But in Mexico, it means something different. And so very grateful, in all honesty, very grateful that I was able to go and enjoy that part of the world and come back safely, and thinking of those who are dealing with that right now, not just the Americans, but the Mexicans as well. So just wanted to pass along those thoughts too. But AD, like any fun stories from the 3 weeks we've had off? I know we kind of skipped we skipped the pleasantries and got right to the hockey because we had so much to talk about with the gold medal game. But any good ski stories? Anything interesting?
The skiing just got better and better, Mike, because the snow started to come that first week of the break. Got a little bit of a sample size of what was to come last week with the 4 feet of powder that was dumped on the resort. So, Mike, you've got your pass, unlimited season pass. You can put that to good use and not have to bring your rock skis, Mike.
After going to the beach, you know what really did me in was the Tampa trip, because we enjoyed the sunshine at Tampa, and I'm like, I like this. I don't want to be cold anymore this year.
I know. I love fun in the sun, but I couldn't give up my skiing when it's snow season in Utah, as we talked about.
It's gonna take. I need to just kind of, pull up my britches and get back on the mountain here. But it was funny when I was in Mexico. I said this on the Nashcast. I don't think I said this on here. I just went by myself, but I met a bunch of people, and I'm driving from the airport to the resort, and I see a Quebec license plate drive by me in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I'm like, oh, wow, they must be lost. But then I get to the resort, and basically every group of, every couple, every group that I met was from Western Canada, either Edmonton or Winnipeg. And they're pretty easy to spot just because of the way they talk. It's pretty easy to tell. And you would go into the tourist spots of this location, and apparently they have so many Canadian tourists that the local, the Mexican population knows about these Canadians. And I'd be walking along where they have these tourist shops, right? And you would see these big brands for sale. You'd see the Dallas Cowboys. You'd see the San Francisco 49ers, the New York Yankees, the LA Lakers, the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Edmonton Oilers. You would see like an Edmonton Oilers sombrero or a Toronto Maple Leafs like Nacho Libre mask or something like that. It was very amusing to me that I saw a Saskatchewan Roughriders poncho. I'm like, there's no way the guy selling this knows who the Saskatchewan Roughriders are, but they know what the tourists want. So it was fun to be amongst Canadians and certainly amongst a lot of hockey fans on vacation.
Yeah, great stuff. And Mike, I'm one of those guys. I enjoy when we're off. I enjoy, All-Star break, the off season, nights between games. I also enjoy when we're playing, and I'm ready to get going this week. Sarah Merrifield had a great line as we were waiting for head coach Andre Tourney on Saturday. She's like, this 25 games is going to go so fast. So buckle up, folks. We'll have it for you. And we're back the rest of the way. There's no more breaks. There's no more comp time. Me and Mike are with you the rest of the days, Monday through Friday, right here on Mammoth Daily.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.